This is the classic. This is my enlightened centrist advice to the left, right, which is the most valuable advice. Assuming we live in a democracy, which we still do by all appearances, although it's questionable.
It's questionable. We will continue.
Well, it's probably questionable for different reasons, but either way, it's questionable potentially. But point is, you need a majority of people to be on your side for certain things. Like, there's just such practical things of like, I don't know, like, I've become more sympathetic to universal health care. I'm not sold on it. I'm more sympathetic to it. I'm sympathetic to, we certainly should be taxing capital gains at a higher rate. We should not be taxing labor more so than capital gains. And then there's entire ways to leverage risk where you have a bunch of assets. You have like a bunch, like $10 million. You don't live off the interest. You take debt against it, and then you don't pay taxes on your debt. There's all kinds of fucking bullshit financial maneuvering and shit. That's ridiculous. I'm against that. There are so many people on the populist right who would agree with that. And if in some sense to create the coalition that is necessary to get the majority to pass these universally important things, universally recognized as important things, then it's worth it. It's like I have no problem and would love to work with someone who literally says like, I don't fuck with white people, fuck whiteys, fuck the crack, all that shit. But are you for ranked choice voting? Are you for taxing speculation or whatever?
Capital gains.
Yeah. Are you for, because if you are, maybe we should canvass in different groups, but we'll still canvass at the same event. Or, you know what I mean? Like that type of shit.
So,
and you're applying that to the right-wing populace too. Now, of course, it's like, well, but is there a greater cost for a black person to be working with someone who's literally the member of the KKK? Yes. I'm not saying we should work with literal members of the KKK. I think you, Christian nationalist, to the point about terms not meaning what they mean. It mean like there's the Nick Fuentes racist version of Christian nationalism. There is in theory a more moderate form, or at least one that again has points that I agree with, just like I agree with Karl Marx on a lot of shit, and I agree with
we'll save that because I want to.
Yeah, go ahead. Point. Well, but that's the point of why am I tempted to say that? What is the point of robbing them of their valid talking points? In order to create the coalition building necessary to address the much deeper things that we agree on, which is wealth inequality. Right. Anti-white racism, anti-black racism, one is bad, one is worse, whatever. Everyone agrees wealth inequality is a serious fucking, not everyone, but intelligent people agree that wealth inequality is a serious problem. So let's temporarily suspend the disagreement here to build the coalition to advance these interests. The
challenge there, and then maybe this will lend itself to you explaining the valid elements of Christian nationalism to me, is that historically speaking, those moments of in critical theory, they call them interest convergence, right? That comes out of critical race theory. There are moments historically where the needs and desires of Black people for liberation and freedom in America happen to line up with the powers that be, right? Often it's because Black people are showing an inclination towards radical action, right? One of my favorite stories to talk about is the I Have a Dream speech and how that speech was never supposed to happen. And it only happened because that march, which was not organized by MLK, was being spoken about as being much bigger and much more rowdy. And MLK was working already with JFK. JFK?
I think Lyndon Johnson.
It might be Lyndon Johnson at the time. Yeah. I think he had started work with JFK, I think, before. I may be fucking up this history. I apologize.
And then Israel took out him. No, I'm just kidding. I don't believe that, for the record. I don't believe Israel took him out.
We'll come back to that. I don't. This is safer for you than me.
That's fine.
But the point I'm trying to get at is that it was understood in the development of that march that Black folks were not coming to be peaceful, like to be for civil. They were not coming with civil disobedience. They were coming with disruption in mind. The speech from Malcolm X about it was that like they were planning on shutting down businesses, clogging up streets, laying down on airplane runways until something happened. And so Lyndon B. Johnson or somebody literally called Martin Luther King and had him essentially clout his way into being a part of the march with promises of finally getting a bill through and tamping down the more radical, disruptive energy that the march is coming from. So interest convergence. We get this great speech, and the Civil Rights Bill is signed a year later. I don't know. I don't remember the dates, but signed soon after. And what people don't talk about is that in the aftermath of that speech, whenever you talk about Martin Luther King, whatever most liberals and moderates and definitely conservatives talk about Martin Luther King, it's that speech, and like literally they imagine he was shot the next day.
Right.
And what really happened is that for the next 3 or 4 years, King was like, "This is some bullshit."
Yeah, he went left economically.
This is some bullshit.
Yeah.
This is a bad deal. Y'all sucker me into this, and y'all reneged on the value of this almost immediately.
And so the FBI killed him.
And so the FBI killed him, right? And so while the logic you're presenting on face value makes sense from the standpoint of Black folks, history tells me that if I be like, you know what, anti-racism is bad. Can we stop saying cracker y'all so they'll feel better, and then we can get ranked choice voting. Once that happens, ranked choice voting will fuck around and be 4 white nationalists, 3 Christian nationalists, 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat, and Bernie Sanders' corpse. You know what I'm saying? And so like
that's fair. Look, I'm not even saying that you should. By the way, historically, just to point out, they did kill Martin Luther King as he moved economically left because wealth inequality is a real problem. He got to the root of the issue. Malcolm X they killed they allowed him to get killed because it was the NOI that killed him.
They low-key set the NOI up.
They knew they had all the tapes. Yeah. Okay, yeah, but point is, they certainly wanted Malcolm X. The FBI wanted Malcolm to die, and he died. And he was moving in the direction of let's build a more colorblind. I don't want to say colorblind because it clearly wasn't, but certainly more multiracial coalition. Same with Fred Hampton. The Rainbow Coalition was literally Fred Hampton's best example. Yeah. So that's more my point is, yes, you're correct historically that like aligning with like the civil rights thing.
What we need to do is investigate what the meetings between the Panthers, the Young Lords, what was the white group? Or was the white group the Young Lords?
I just know it was a Rainbow Coalition as a group.
It was specifically 3 main groups though. It was a Latino group and a white group. And one of them was named the Young Lords. But because like, and this may be a flaw in my perception. I hear the Rainbow Coalition and I admire its intention. And the Fred Hampton in me is the reason why I'm here, right? Because I feel like there's value and utility in building coalition with generally like-minded white people, but at least white people amenable to cause, right?
Like-minded white people for you, those are boring. Boring, lame. They're lame.
I've had those conversations before. I miss these
more
challenging, scary moments.
Yeah, hardcore right-wingers such as myself are far more interesting.
But I do wonder what that conversation was, because he built coalition with not just white people; those were poor white people. Those are PWCs.
Correct.
But there's no documentation. Look, there's no documentation that I'm aware of. I need to do more study. There may be something I get into at a certain point. Is what did that conversation look like? Because it's not like racism is any worse today than it was in 1960 in the early 60s, right? Like
Robin DiAngelo would say it's worse. A white DEI consultant, by the way. But
Robin DiAngelo,
no real person would not say that.
True. But at least the overt stuff. So how did that conversation go? Was there, I do know there were moments where there's a story about like there being a conversation about, hey, like essentially some microaggression shit, but they solved it communities, they solved it effectively. But there's also, ever since Hampton, there's been constant bickering between like black anarchists, black leftists, and white leftists. There's a reason why so much of my career is built upon helping to build a black online leftist content space, because there was no representation. But I don't know.